All right, so let's see if the audio is okay. All right, so let's see. Yeah. How's it going, everyone? I hope you all are doing great. I am Dork Radu and I am back with another daily analysis. As always, we're gonna start off with the Forex analysis. And to be more exact, I will start off with GBP/USD, where we have this bearish opportunity that triggered both entries and currently running in some profits. Entry number 2 smashed TP1 as well with a beautiful sniper reaction. And yeah, this trade looks pretty promising. The reason we took it is very simple. I saw a impulsive break of structure to the downside caused by this bearish leg. After that, I saw that the daily was also bearish on the graph. I also was able to identify a fair value gap lining up with the area of interest. And the pullback was also a very nice and corrective one. Okay, and now we shall wait and see how this setup will unfold. On Euro CHF, we have another bearish opportunity that triggered entry number 1 and currently running around the entry price, I would say, in some very small drawdown. The reason I took this setup is because I saw a bearish shift in momentum. I saw a liquidity sweep followed by a impulsive break of structure to the downside. After the break, I identified this unmitigated order block that was lining up with this bearish trader order block, and they are both lining up with the area of interest. And the pullback was also a very nice and corrective one, as we can see. Okay, so definitely a valid setup. On Euro USD, I was able to identify a bullish opportunity. Right here we have a textbook bullish break of structure that took price higher. After the break, I identified this unmitigated order block that, as we can see, is lining up perfectly with the point of interest. The 4-hour is also bullish on the graph, and so far this pullback looks pretty nice and corrective as well. On odd NZD, we have a bearish opportunity. Okay, right here we had a super textbook bearish shift in momentum. We swept liquidity right here by the wicks, and immediately after that we broke structure to the downside very impulsively with this bearish leg. After the break, imbalance was left behind. Very clear to see that because I was able to identify this unmitigated order block lining up with this bearish trader order block, and they are both lining up with the area of interest. The 4-hour is also bearish on the trader graph, and it is safe to say that this pullback looks very, very corrective. Okay, on Euro AUD, we have a bullish shift in momentum. Right here, price was trending downwards, and here price swept liquidity, and immediately after that it broke structure to the upside, okay, with this bullish leg. After the break, I identified this unmitigated order block that is lining up with the area of interest, and the pullback so far looks very, very corrective. Okay, it seems that the bullish pressure is still very much on. On USD CAD, we have a bearish setup. Right here we have a bearish break of structure caused by this bearish leg. Before the break, liquidity was swept as well, right here, with this fake out to the upside. And after the break, I was able to identify this unmitigated order block that is lining up perfectly with the point of interest. The 4-hour is also bearish on the trader graph, and this pullback so far looks very nice and corrective. So we shall see, we shall wait for a continuation of that. On AUD CAD, we have a continuation of this uptrend with this textbook break towards the upside. Pullback so far looks very corrective. Daily is also bullish on the graph. And right here in our area of interest, we have a fair value gap lining up with this with a bullish trader order block as well. Okay, on AUD USD, I think this is a pretty similar setup to the AUD CAD one. Yeah, textbook break, very aggressive. Pullback so far is looking very nice and corrective. Daily and 4-hour are both bullish on the graph. And right here in our area of interest, we have a fair value gap and 2 bullish trader order blocks, which is great. Okay, plenty of confluences. On NZD USD, another bullish opportunity. Okay, textbook break with this very aggressive bullish leg. I then identified this unmitigated order block that is lining up with this bullish trader order block, and they are both lining up perfectly with the point of interest. The 4-hour is also bullish on the graph, and this pullback once again is very, very corrective so far. Okay, on Euro NZD, we have a bearish opportunity. Okay, right here we have a aggressive break towards the downside. Before the break, liquidity was swept as well with this fake out to the upside. And after the break, I identified this unmitigated order block that is lining up with this bearish trader order block, and they are both lining up perfectly with the point of interest. The 4-hour is also bearish on the trader graph, and the pullback so far looks very nice and corrective as well. Okay, on USD CHF, another bearish setup. Here we have a very clear bearish shift in momentum, massive fake out to the upside, swept liquidity, followed by a impulsive break towards the downside. After that, I identified a unmitigated order block lining up with this bearish trader order block, and they are both lining up perfectly with the point of interest. The 4-hour is also bearish on the graph, and once again the pullback is very nice and corrective so far. Okay, CAD JPY with a bullish setup. This one is looking pretty textbook. We have a clear break to the upside. After the break, I identified this unmitigated order block lining up with the discounted area of this bullish range, and we can also see that the daily is bullish on the graph as well. So now the last thing that we need to wait for is a corrective pullback. GBP AUD with another pretty textbook bullish setup. Okay, break towards the upside caused by this bullish leg. After the break, I identified this unmitigated order block lining up with the area of interest, and now once again we need to wait for a corrective pullback. That's the final step, the final confluence. And lastly, we have odd JPY with another very textbook bullish setup. Okay, clear break to the upside. It took us higher. Daily and 4-hour are both bullish on the graph. We have a unmitigated order block right here lining up perfectly with the area of interest. And once again, we now need to wait for a corrective pullback. And yeah, on that note, we'll end today's Forex analysis right here. As always, if there's any other questions, you should reach out on Discord. Now I will go over today's metals analysis, starting off with gold, where I still cannot identify a new setup. Price is currently in the middle of nowhere, hence why on gold we'll just wait for some fresh structure, and in the meantime we'll just focus on the clear setups. Like for example silver. Okay, on silver we have a textbook break of structure to the upside caused by this bullish leg right here. Okay, very aggressive as we can see. After the break, imbalance was left behind because I was able to identify this unmitigated order block that is lining up with this bullish trader order block, and they are both lining up perfectly with the point of interest. The daily and the 4-hour are both bullish on the trader graph as well, and this pullback so far looks very corrective, okay, which is great. And yeah, on that note, we'll end the metals analysis right here. As always, if there's any further questions, you should reach out on Discord. And now I will go over today's indices analysis, starting off with US 30, where I was able to identify a bullish setup. Right here we have a very clear and aggressive break towards the upside, continuing this upwards push. Okay, after the break I was able to identify this fair value gap that is lining up with the area of interest. The daily and the 4-hour are both bullish on the graph as well. And this pullback so far looks pretty corrective too, okay? So I would like to see a continuation of this corrective pullback. On SPX, I wasn't able to identify anything, okay? We have a nice liquidity sweep here, but we need to see this low being broken in order to take this bearish range. So until then, there's nothing we can do on SPX. And lastly, we have NAS 100. And on NAS 100, I wasn't able to identify anything. We have a lot of wicks, a lot of indecision. So what I would like to see from here is a clear move, either to the up or downside. And from there, we should be able to identify a new setup. Okay. And yeah, on that note, we'll end today's indices analysis right here. And as always, if there's any further questions, you should reach out on Discord. And lastly, I will go over today's crypto analysis, starting off with Bitcoin, where we identified a bearish opportunity that now is running in some small profits. Okay, it was very close to the stop loss, but then it reversed. So we shall wait and see how this one will play out. The reason I took it is because I saw a clear break, a pretty corrective pullback. I also saw that the daily was bearish on the graph, And we also had a unmitigated order block lining up with the area of interest. Okay, that was the reason for this setup. On Ethereum, we have another bearish opportunity that hasn't triggered yet. Okay, clear break to the downside, very corrective pullback so far. Daily and 4-hour both bearish on the graph, and we also have an unmitigated order block lining up with the area of interest. So once again, a very valid setup. On Dogecoin, I wasn't able to identify anything new. We would have had a nice bullish range, but right here, this order block is mitigated, okay? Hence why I didn't take it. And on XRP, I don't think I identified anything new. Yeah, on XRP, as we can see, we are pretty much in the middle of nowhere. So from here, I want to see a clear break. And from there, we should be able to identify a new setup. And lastly, we have Solana with a bearish opportunity. Okay, this one triggered the first entry for a very nice sniper reaction. It smashed TP1. And the reason we took this setup is very simple. I saw a clear break to the downside. The pullback was also a pretty corrective one, I would say. I also saw that the daily and the 4-hour were both bearish on the graph. And we also had a unmitigated order block lining up with a bearish trader order block, and they were both lining up with the area of interest. Okay, so definitely a valid setup, and now we just need to wait and see how it will play out. Okay, and yeah, on that note, we'll end today's crypto as well as the overall daily analysis right here. As always, I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will see y'all on the dork side. Take care.